the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog. Code Mayo. And Underdog right now gets you a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We got the CJ Cup Byron Nelson at TPC Craig Ranch, one of the weakest fields of the year. And Scotty Scheffler is playing, so he's going to absolutely crush everyone else's odds. I wouldn't even go into the non-Scotty market. You got to bring your putter to a putting event. Scotty has been putting really well, but you can always catch someone with a slightly hotter putter at an easier course. Scotty and birdie fests, even against weak fields, we've never seen him really have that much success. It's not like he's won Houston every single year. In fact, he has not won Houston. And he generally does play in this tournament. He did skip it a year ago, but he hasn't won this tournament either. So it's the harder tournaments, which require more skill, is where Scotty tends to shine more often than not. So just keep that in mind. You got Spieth, Ben-An, Zalatoris, defending champ Taylor Pendrith is in the field. Sungjae Im is coming back from Korea. He's in the field. Then it's a big step down to everyone else. Like you have like Siwoo as a middle guy. Then it's into like Jaeger, Michael Kim, the Højgaards, that level of player. And that's like 15 players. Then everyone else after that is way down the list. So we're going to have to take a look at many different courses if we want to figure out how to construct a betting card, how we want to find some sleepers in this field, or if you on DraftKings this week, when I talk it through with Tambo on Wednesday, like Scotty and who else do you want? Because I have a feeling that the optimal or the common builds are going to be Scotty probably at like 45-50%, because you're going to find enough guys in that 7K, 6K range that aren't completely dissimilar from the guys in the 8K range. So the want and the need is going to be Scheffler and jam in everyone else. That maybe the proper strategy here is to save a little bit of money. And this is obviously all price sensitive, and I don't know what the prices are as of yet. That, Ben-An, Pendrith, Jake Knapp as a start, and then go down the list and try to construct your team that way, where you don't have quite as many bottom feeder players in the field this week. So it's a very weak field, but this tournament is so key to what my strategy was for those underdog best ball drafts that we did for the scramble returns. Basically, my entire strategy was try to find guys that are playing in this tournament that are also playing in elevated events and the Masters. And there just wasn't that many. So the answer to that question turned out to be Pendrith, Scheffler, Ben-An, Sungjae. Siwoo didn't play in the Masters, but he ended up playing at Heritage and played in that elevated event, because this is the tournament where it's not based. Like, you don't get any extra credit for winning the Masters as you would for winning the CJ Cup. So when we start to like reverse engineer and how to think about all of these things, that most of the birdies of those four events in the first section are going to come at the Byron Nelson. So if you're already doing well, if you're first, second, or third in your group right now, in either the Big Albatross, the Little Albatross, the Albatross Returns, whatever tournament that you end up playing, that you end up going into, that you're going to need to get your birdies from this event. And if you can lap the field, if you can just have 6 guys in this field, even if they don't all make the cut, you're going to be piling up easy birdies, easy eagles, versus the 3 other events that you can really separate yourself here, because everyone will have guys in all of the other events. It's going to be kind of a wash unless someone goes absolutely bananas in those events. So this was a key part of my strategy. Right now, I believe out of my 100 teams, I have 24 advancing. I'd like to see that number around like 44 to 50% after this week to see if my strategy ended up working. If it didn't end up working, well, then I'm just going to end up losing a bunch of money. But if I can still get 25% of my teams through, I'm going to be pretty happy about that. Back in North America, which is really nice, so smash a like to that. Tickets to PME Live are on sale right now. Hit the description to go buy those. June 7th in Toronto. We would love to see you there. We're doing a meet and greet afterwards, and if you've ever wanted to have a beer with Cam Stewart or a cig with Tim Andrikust outside, this is the event that you're probably going to want to go to. Canadian Open is going on in Toronto that week. Blue Jays are in town that week, and as Kenny Kim pointed out, who is going to be there as well, that if Washington and the Maple Leafs make the Eastern Conference Finals, it will be in Toronto that weekend as well. So a great sports weekend in Toronto, with our show just being kind of jammed in the afternoon on that Saturday, that if you ever want to take a trip to Toronto, now is the time to go do that. All right. And we'll have the winner of the Coolbet giveaway sometime either this week or early next week. Got to talk to the guys at Coolbet. I've been kind of incommunicado. I had a great time in Europe. It was really nice to kind of get away from everything. Usually when I go on vacation, I still have I had the pre-recorded mock draft show that I did with Thor, which was really fun to do. In the draft, we're going to have thoughts on the draft on Tuesday with Cust and Jeff, but just to watch it from afar was really interesting. But just to get away from everything and just not think about doing the show for a while was really nice. Come back super refreshed. We got an elevator. We got this dinky event, which is a nice preseason type thing to get back into. 2 events next week, PGA Championship the week after that. So a ton of great golf content coming. Plus, we're going to get back to doing one football show a week as well. So glad everyone can be back for all of this. June 7th, live show right now. Sub to the newsletter that's completely free to get the write-ups for each of the tournaments and the cheat sheet for bets that come out every Wednesday as well. But let's talk about the course. TPC Craig Ranch, a par 71, extended up to 7,569 yards for 2025. Bent grass greens, almost 7,000 square foot greens too, which puts them well above PGA Tour average. 83 bunkers, 13 holes with water in play this year. And we've been seeing this now for 4 years on tour, and the verdict has been reached. It's an easy course. It's not the easiest course, but it's pretty close to the easiest course. Just birdies and eagles everywhere. And its debut as a tour event in 2021, Craig Ranch gave up the most birdies of any course that year, along with the 4th most eagles. It was also the track with the highest average scrambling rate as well. If you miss a green, you'll save par around 66% of the time. It all makes sense statistically. Players hit more fairways here than average. They hit more greens in regulation than average. They drive the ball farther, and they 3-putt less. Although, I did get some inside info from the course this year that the setup will feature grown-out rough unlike the other years. I don't think that's really going to stop much of the scoring, but it might play slightly more difficult. So instead of a -23 winner, you might get a -21 or -20 winner, or it might make no difference whatsoever. Rolett Creek runs throughout the entire course and will test the field to either lay up to try and clear the hazards on about half the holes. But since it doesn't provide too much difficulty from the fairway, layup should be stricken from anyone's record this week. You got to be going for it. And with the way that the holes are laid out, expect a larger than normal amount of approach shots coming from 175 yards and beyond. All 3 par 5s measure between 550 and 570, and 3 of the par 3s are at least 216 yards. There are 7 holes immediately where you'll encounter approaches from that range. In the 2 years, over 50% of approach shots have come from over 175 yards. So jump over to Fantasy National right now to take a look at the scorecard, and you'll see how everything is kind of laid out. The par 3s have an average distance of 204 yards. And you can see on the screen that there's the one that's 147. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting there. The other 3, as mentioned, are beyond 216 yards. 3 of the 7 toughest holes on the property. And Pendrith had 2 bogey-free rounds and was clean most of the week. But 2 of his bogeys did come on par 3s. In fact, those 2 blips came within a 3-hole stretch in the second round on Friday. Taking a look at the par 4s, 455 yards is the average. The 2 toughest holes on the course are the par 4s on the back 9, holes number 12 and number 16, and they have an over par rate of 23% each and a sub 10 under par rate. So you need to be treading water on those holes, do your damage everywhere else. Don't give up the course there. You can see, we take a look at bogey rate, number 16, almost a quarter of the field makes bogey, almost a fifth of the field makes bogey on number 12. Then you have, on number 12, almost a 3% double or worse rate. So you cannot give it up on number 12. You play those at even par for the entire week, and beat up on the par 5s, you'll be well in contention by the time it comes around. Pendrith's third round was highlighted by back-to-back eagles, hole number 5 and 6, the latter, which is a par 4. And that gets somewhat interesting when we start to take a look at the short par 4s. This week, you have, let's see here, the 330 par 4 number 14 and 361 par 4 number 6. Now, it's a sub 1 eagle percent on number 6, but 1.4 on number 14. Number 6 plays with no hazard area, but some of the bigger hitters have given it a go from the tee box, but it's just a tad too long. It's 141 yards to the front of the green with bunkers situated on each side of the putting surface. Like number 14, it's slightly right to left from the tee box, and a favorable bounce can sneak it in between those bunkers, but you're probably just going to be playing it up and down from the bunker, so you want to not short side yourself in one of those bunkers. Play the one with the more distance, and you'll get it up and down, no problem, because you can see almost a 40% birdie rate on both of them. So it's well worth attacking. Very few bogeys are made. 7% on number 14, 3% on number 6. If you're not making at least birdie on number 6, you are bleeding strokes to the field because it plays almost a half stroke under par. Quickly switch and take a gander at the 3 par 5s on the course. 18, 9, and 5 all have an eagle rate over 2%. All have a birdie rate over 50%. So again, you got to be beaten up on all of these holes. The 3 easiest holes on the course, Pendrith took full advantage playing all 3 in at least 3 under par. So you're probably not going to go, minus 14 on the 12 par 5s, but if you can be minus 10, minus 11, that's where you need to be. And then you start beating up on the easy par 4s, the 2 short ones, add another, let's say, minus 6 to that, and all of a sudden you're at 16 under. You got to get to 20, 23, 24, whatever it is, in order to make it. So then you have number 10, which is a 23% birdie rate, so you have to pick some up elsewhere and then not bogey, 2 of the par 3s and the 2 difficult par 4s, and that is the path to victory at TPC Craig Ranch. And we'll take a look down the list a little bit here. We can see how everyone did it. Off the tee and approach amongst the top 10 finishers are quite close. That's a rarity. You don't usually see it that close, and you need to bring a hot putter along with you. If we translate that over to top 5s, it remains pretty much the same. Driving, approach, around the green a little bit as well, and putting. Everything's pretty flat at TPC Craig Ranch. You need to bring your entire game, and it's pretty easy, so you see some random dudes pop up over time as well. The whole composition, you have your 6 that are beyond 450, although only 2 of them are exceptionally difficult, and as I mentioned, the average shot distribution, 37% from 200 plus, and then 17% from 175 to 200. Very few wedge shots at this course. You have 13%, 125 to 150, but that's about it. The cut line we've seen the past 3 years, minus 5 last year, minus 3 the year before that when it switched over to a par 71. So if you're not making birdies, you ain't making the cut here. Driving accuracy has dropped just a little bit, but not that big of a deal. Right around tour average. Greens and regulation still above 71%, scrambling above 65% as 66%, as I mentioned before. Very few 3 putts, average driving distance way up. So that is the game plan. It's not quite as grip and rip as Houston was, but it's very similar in that regard. So guys that did well in Houston, you could see if they bring their hot putter with them to Texas that they're going to probably have a pretty good week there as well. Go back and take a look at some of the past champions in the tournament history at Craig Ranch. Taylor Pendrith was the winner, one clear of Ben Coles a year ago. In 2024, minus 23, and then it was Ben Coles. Then you had Ben Ann, S.H. Kim, Matt Wallace, Jake Knapp, Rafael Campos, Troy Merritt, and Kevin Tway inside the top 10. Hisa Tune, Ben Griffin, Si-Woo was up there as well. Si-Woo's been good here the past 2 years since it switched to a par 71. He has a T2 and a T13, obviously coming off a disappointing result at the Heritage on the final day, but he played in the final group, so it wasn't so bad there. Steven Yeager, who won in Houston, has had some good run at Torrey Pines and Mexico. You can almost throw all of those 4 together. That's the way that I would be looking at it, although when we get to how the stats rate out on some of the different courses, it's not those ones, but T20 and T11 for him. Kevin Tway has been inside the top 11 each of the past 2 years. Ben Ann inside the top 15 each of the past 2 years. So those are your best horses for courses over the past 2 years. Other guys, that pop up there, Carson Young, who really, he and Akshay did me dirty at the team event. They doubled the par 5 18th to miss the cut. Not that they probably would have got back into it, but still, come on, guys. What are we doing here? It's one of the easiest holes at TPC Louisiana. You make a double bogey in, I get its alternate shot and you got buried in the bunker, but figure it out. You got to just par to make the cut. Make birdie, you're well within side. It was kind of devastating to watch on Shot Tracker because I was still away at that point, but I was still paying attention to what was going on, and that was not great. Taylor Pendrith had top in 2023, Jason Day was the winner, although he is not playing this year. You had Si-Woo and Eckroat come T2. Scheffler was T5. He passed on this a year ago, although he is back in the field this time. Ryan Palmer, Kevin Tway, there's Yeager, Ben Ann again, Carson Young, Matt Hughes. Take a look at Matt Hughes for a second. Doug Gim was inside the top 20 as well. Bramlett, Seamus Power. Who else? Eric Cole was up there. Kazire. So, no one's really sticking out as constant success at this course. But Mac Hughes is interesting. He was 3rd at Heritage. He was 10th in Houston. He's starting to play a lot better golf as of late. So maybe it doesn't seem like a spot where he would be really good. Although, when I started to take a look at some of the other reasons why players might be good at this course, like you say, like I said, second easiest scrambling of any course in 2023. 88% of the field hit greens in regulation inside 125 yards. That was the 4th easiest. There was 94 holeouts. That was the fourth most of any course. A 26% birdie or better rate inside 125 yards. And then you have all the birdies and all the eagles. So when I put in what other courses do well with those particular stats, obviously there's other ones like the long approach play, hence why you get Torrey Pines and Houston and Mexico into the mix, because they're longer courses just like Craig Ranch is. But PGA West, Sea Island Resort, Scottsdale, TPC Summerlin, El Cardinal, for the new worldwide technologies, the Mexico swing season event. So a lot of swing season events pop up in there, but Mac Hughes did win at the Seaside course and has had some good run at CC of Jackson, which was another one that just missed that list. So it's not inconceivable that Mac Hughes starts to get it back together again. You can see the putting still hasn't been high levels of Mac Hughes putting. He's gaining just over a stroke per tournament over his past 3, which is where the rebound has started to come in. But as you can see over his overall profile, he's in his past 20, he's averaging almost 2 per. So if he can start to get his putter back a little bit, all of a sudden he's going to be doing a lot better, although he has been gaining a massive amount around the green. So if he can cobble together another spike, it's not really a spike for him, another really good Mac Hughes type. I just talked about all the holeouts. That's kind of his entire bag. That around the green could look good for him as long as the approach play and the off the tee play continue to turn out well for him. So very interesting name to pop up there. I was kind of surprised to see Mac Hughes pop up in that sort of way. Just taking a look how Pendrith did it a year ago, his approach play wasn't very good. It was a round field average, but he was able to chip in a bunch of times and made a ton of putts and gained a bunch off the tee. The most even of everyone was Norm, but obviously he's still on the DL right now. He's out with his torn glute or torn hamstring, whatever it is that he has. It's going to be a great spot for someone like Ben An, and Ben An is in the field again. And we can just see, tee to green, he's been coming through with it. He didn't gain a bunch at RBC Heritage, but that's not a spot where you would expect him to gain a bunch off the tee. But previous to that, the Masters was his worst off the tee of any of his previous 4 tournaments, and he still gained 1.6. He was still, up there. It's the irons that have been pretty bad. They've started to come back into the green recently. Started off the year so bad with his irons, just negative. Then all of a sudden he starts popping back up again. The around the green is now back up to what we're used to with him, and you just have to get lucky with the putter. We can see that with the Byron Nelson in his past 2 turns. He gained 3.2 a year ago. He lost 2 the year before that in his T14. So you're going to need him to bring his putter. It always comes back to, in a birdie fest, can Ben An ever really contend? Because can he make enough putts in order to get himself into the -20? So you have to hope that his tee to green is so good that he comes with basically what he did last year, is just slightly better tee to green. You're not really ever going to count on Ben An to gain 5 strokes putting. Has that ever happened? The Wells Fargo last year, he gained 8. When Ben An is gaining 8 strokes putting and not winning, that's a real tough scene for him. Although the Wells Fargo was at Quail Hollow a year ago, so maybe he is a look at the PGA Championship this time around. Sony, when he came in 12th, and then those are the only 2 times in his life he has gained over 5 strokes putting in any given tournament. So, although some of the ones that crossed over, CC at Jackson, TPC Scottsdale, he has done well at those in the past too. So it's not crazy to think that he could do it, but you just need his tee to green game to come along and everyone else not to have an even crazier week going in. Have you noticed how Pat Mayo seems a whole lot better rested recently? It's no secret. I got my old mattress, took it outside, threw it in the trash the moment my Helix mattress showed up. My wife and I took the quiz on helixsleep.com. We went through everything and we decided the firmness. We wanted the temperature, how we actually sleep. And all of a sudden, the mattress shows up, we lay down, and I'm not having a lot of the sleep problems that I've been having in the past. I just wake up 50 times a night. Not no more with my Helix mattress. I was sleeping on my side with my head underneath my pillow, and I was getting chicken wing for when I woke up, and my back and my shoulders were sore because there was a divot inside my old mattress where I've been sleeping on it so long. Now, all of that has gone. It's been such an upgrade with my Helix mattress that I'm getting full sleep, and even my Apple Watch is telling me that I'm getting a far more full sleep this time. I'm not hitting 54% on my sleep cycle anymore. No, I'm up at like 90%, even 100% some nights. So hopefully this can help you out as well. Go to helixsleep.com/PatMayo for the spring savings event where you're going to get 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/PatMayo for 20% off everything site-wide. helixsleep.com/PatMayo. Finding the perfect car is kind of like dating, where you swipe through a bunch of options, some look better than they actually are, and you just hope you don't settle for good enough when you deserve something great. But with CarGurus, they take the guesswork out of car buying. Real price analysis, vehicle history, price drop alerts, and the best deals. The best deals! No bad dates, just good cars. CarGurus will connect you with trusted dealerships when you're ready, ensuring a transparent and hassle-free buying process. With over 4 million listings, CarGurus has more car listings than any other major online automotive marketplace in the US, so you can find the best deal. CarGurus gives you control on how you shop and how you want to shop with the tools, information, and data-driven deals ratings you need. It's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows CarGurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today with CarGurus at CarGurus.com. Go to CarGurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CarGurus.com. CarGurus.com. Are you feeling stuck in your daily wellness routine? You're not alone on that. Our friends at Cornbread Hemp hear you. Yes, they're listening and they hear you. Their organic CBD gummies are made to help you feel better, whether it's stress, poor sleep, or just needing a moment to unwind, because Lord knows we should be taking more moments to unwind. CBD might be just what you need to level up your daily routine. Cornbread Hemp uses only the best of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest, most potent CBD. No fillers, no junk, just full spectrum goodness. And right now, Pat Mayo Experience listeners can save 30% off your first order. Just head to cornbread.com/PatMayo and use code PatMayo at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/PatMayo and use code PatMayo. Jump back over to Fantasy National, fantasynational.com/Mayo, in order to get that special 20% off. Take a look at the model that I built for the Byron Nelson CJ Cup at TPC Craig Ranch. Tee to green, 12% off the tee, 16, approach 19. That's reflective of what we have seen in terms of how everything gets evenly distributed here. So it's not a big spike to the strokes gained approach. And I will include the around the green. I don't have it in the model. That's baked into the strokes gained tee to green. 450 to 500, 11%, 0 to 350 at 5%, putting 5 to 10, 10 to 15 at 5%, the long par 3, 7%, eagles gained 5%, opportunities gained 9%, and proximity from beyond 200 yards at 20%. Let's take a look at the model, see who it spits us out. And we got Scheffler, Mitchell, Damon, Kevin Yu. I always love me some Kevin Yu, so I'm going to end up back on Kevin Yu again. He broke my heart at the Masters just a little bit, but that's where we're at. Valimaki is number 6, and he's a guy who tends to play those courses that I had mentioned before, the longer tracks. Be it Mexico, he has a top 5 finish there. Actually, he has a second place finish there. Torrey Pines, he was a part of the top 40 parlay this year that ended up making it. I think he came 16th at Torrey Pines this year. And Houston, was it Houston he played well this year? Yeah, he was 4th in Houston this time around. Has 3 straight top 20 finishes. He had the 15th at the Farmers. So he is exactly the type of player that I'm probably going to go to. Unfortunately, because of the strength of field, that he's probably going to be a bit overpriced. Same as Ryan Gerard. You're probably going to see these guys because of the strength of the field at like 40 to 1 to open. Do you really want to be betting Wacky Valimaki in a PGA Tour event at 40 to 1? That's not an alternate field event. I mean, that's on you to figure out. But his approach play has just been top-notch. I mean, it's Scheffler, then it's kind of everyone else in the field in terms of lead-in form. Lee Hodges is up there as well. Rico Hoey. Toasty is interesting because when we take a look at Toasty, he obviously has the T5, the T12, Houston and Valero. He was second place at Corrales 2 weeks ago as well, the alternate field the week of the Heritage. You always worry that his putter is just simply going to let him down. That's par for the course when it comes from Toasty, but he's very well situated to take advantage of this as well. I don't know how he's played here over the course of his career? I'm going to guess not very well or not at all. Byron Nelson. He played it a year ago and was lights out, tee to green in 2 rounds, and lost 6 strokes putting. That's sort of the entire Toasty experience. Can he get it figured out on the greens? Many would say no, and the stats would say no. I would probably even say no, but if he opens at triple digits, then I'm probably going to be all in. If he's going to be 50-1, then that's probably not the route that I want to take. It's always interesting with tournaments like this where there's very few big names at the top that you're going to kind of have to pick your poison and go all in with it. Michael Kim is another one. When I spoke with Mike right before the Masters, he wasn't sure if he was going to play this event or not. He's been trending downwards, obviously, the past few weeks since the Masters. Did make the cut at the Masters, ended up T27. That was nice. But we had that run of top 15 finishes, 5 in a row. Then we got to the Players. He missed the cut. He's just been off ever since. The off the tee game has really started to slip. The around the green game, which had been the best on tour for a 3-week period, has started to slip a little bit too, and he's had some bad putting weeks. But I don't think it's crazy to go back to him here. Obviously, he was a member at this course, which he had informed me, that he ended up picking it up. So I think it's a spot where he thinks that he can get himself back into the top categories. And even over the past 24, he's still inside the top 15, and his short range putting is second in the field over that time as well. It's the 10 to 15 where he's almost last in the field from that range. So if he can pick that up a little bit, skew upwards in that regard, then he's going to be fine. The other guys that I want to take a look at, Ricky Castillo. Obviously, Hayden Springer is up there as well, and we took a look at who dominates kind of the shorter par 4s on tour. It is Hayden Springer. So we'll see how Tricky Ricky has been doing lately. Let's see. A lot of miscuts, 12th at the Valspar, 15th at the Farmers. So it hasn't been great for him. The other one would be Celinda that I'd be looking at. It looks like he may have gagged away the team tournament, but he has been pretty good and solid at some of these tournaments. You can see, Houston is a spot where I wanted to target him. He came inside the top 15. Obviously, at the Farmers, he made the cut. He ended up inside the top 45 and third in Mexico. And those were the 3 courses that I was looking at in particular for this tournament. So he's made the cut at all of them. I don't see a reason to go away from him unless the odds are just super restrictive on where he wants to be. Hisatune did not quite come through for me at the Heritage, although it seems like he's putting in a good run at the Zurich as we speak right now. But again, just great finishes across the board. He has the 2 top 5s in his past 4 starts. He still was 18th at the Heritage in an elevated event, and that was after a really poor start from him as well. So these are some of the names that I want to continue to dig deeper on. Let's see. Just strokes gained, tee to green. Just try to make it very simple on ourselves. You see that Kevin Yu is up there as well. Bramlett's number 1 in opportunities gained. I'd have to think that goes back to other years. Let's see, RSM, Butterfield, Bermuda, Black Desert. All right, it just starts. The furthest one away is going to be the final round that he played at the 3M. If we take a look at how he's been doing recently, it's not been great. So a lot of that is just a lot of heavy lifting from Summerland, which was a crossover, Sanderson Farms and Black Desert, where he was pretty good. It does not include his Punta Cana, where he was inside the top 5 as well during the crossover alternate field event. No, Zalatoris is in the field. Totally forgot about that. Can he make enough putts? The answer would probably be no to that. How has Zal been doing? He missed the cut at the Masters, bad at the Heritage, bad at the Valspar. He's making cuts, but his putting and his chipping just are so bad. And when he was at his peak, obviously he was gaining ball striking every single week. Take a look back to the good days. 4.5 off the tee, 3 on approach, 4.2, 2.2. Get those spike weeks, 8 strokes gained on approach, and the chipping was obviously very good. It could get bad, but overall, on the whole, was very, very good. And sometimes he would have good putting weeks. We're just not seeing any of that. He had 1 good putting week that was at the Players, and then he just went full in the water off the tee after he was leading midway through round 3, and then he was never heard from again, finished T30. But he has no top 10s this year. He has 1 finish inside the top 20. That was at the American Express in January. So it'd be interesting. It's not that I don't like him here. I think he has the perfect skill set to play Craig Ranch, but it just doesn't seem to be going the way that you would want it to be going at the moment. So Ben An, Celinda, it'll be difficult to do. What do we do with Scheffler here? He was just 4-1 to win the Heritage in an elevated event, and there's no good names. It's going to be basically Zalatoris might be second in the odds after him. I'm trying to think of who else it could be. Yeah, that's exactly who it probably is. So How is he 2.5 to 1 to win this tournament? I don't think I want to bet Scotty in what is, it's a tee to green competition, but you need to bring a great putter along with you. He doesn't have a win. This seems like a great spot to pick one up, honestly, but 2.5 to 1 that he's going to bring a hot putter along with him too. I don't like those odds at all. If he was 4 to 1, maybe. But again, does he have a 25% win rate in this field, a tournament that he's played a bunch of times and never won? Historically, the answer would be no to that question if you want to go all in on it. But, I'm going to end up with my losers like Valimaki and Ben An. And those Ben An might actually be second in this field. Maybe it's Spieth. I don't know. We'll get to that when we guess the odds, and I have to really think this through. But that's what everything is telling me right now in terms of how the model rates itself out. If we go super short term, and just take a look at the past 8 rounds and see who that spits out. Toasty ends up as number 1, then Keith Mitchell, then Scheffler. So Scheffler remains up there, even though his 2 rounds are against the Masters field and the Heritage field, and these other guys are not in that category. Sung Jae gets a boost up there as well. He just missed the cut at the Korean Open this week. He was doing a title defense of the tournament he won a year ago and failed to make the cut. I don't know what that really means for him. He did just come top 5 at the Masters, so obviously he's hit or miss in all of his form. Maybe it is a spot to look at him here. He's number 1 in eagles gained over that time, that 8-round stretch as well. Ben Griffin, who could be a PGA winner by the time Sunday ends up coming through. I'm still hoping my guys Norlander and Liz can put together like a -9 alt shot round and sneak it away, but I have my doubts on that. Thorbjorn Olesen, Mac Hughes, Norlander, Kevin Yu is up there again. I think that even includes Kevin Yu's kind of terrible Masters. Let's see here. At the Masters, yeah, really terrible on approach. The first time he lost strokes on approach in 2025. Obviously, he can't putt either, but his overall numbers just look better than Will Zalatoris at the moment. Like, they're kind of comps for what their skill sets would be. Obviously, the ceiling is much higher for Zalatoris, but Kevin Yu did get his win at Sanderson Farms, has just been playing very steady golf. In tee to green, he's been lights out. Can you get him to sneak away with a good putting week? Almost like Zalatoris, the answer is probably no, because as you can see on the screen, a whole lot of red going on there. But maybe on bent grass, he's a little bit better. No, he's not. In fact, he's equally as bad everywhere on the greens. So you have to hope that you get that spike putting week, the lucky putting week from him, where he just hits it so goddamn close every single time that doesn't really make that much of a difference. Spieth, Chan Kim, Rosner, Valimaki is still up there. Griot. Jeff kept bringing up Griot to me. And I think it was a lot of chipping and putting for him. It was a lot of putting for him. Although the driving has been a lot better, the putting has been a lot better. And at Valero, he did gain across the board, which is nice to see. And just remember at TPC San Antonio, there was a lot of wind that week. So just keep that in mind going through, that maybe some of the stats for some of the players that week were probably thrown off. Houston would probably be the better look for me if that's where I wanted to go. Noah Goodwin, Ben An, Piss, and Cody. There he is. Siwoo Kim, Ricky Castillo is up there again. Where did Celinda go in all this? I just really like Celinda. I think it's because he seems cool as fuck, honestly. Like, when you see, he seems like he carries himself like he's the best player on tour. Always like to see that, although he's very clearly not close to the best player on tour. But again, just great results in the tournaments that I want to see. So let's dig into that a little bit more. Let's go past 24 rounds. And I'm going to click on to the strokes gained model overall, although I think it's weighted pretty, the model itself I don't really care about that, because I'm just going to be looking at strokes gained total for the courses that I want to see. And we'll take a look at 2025, 2024, and 2023. We'll go past 2.5 years at some of these courses. So we'll go to Torrey Pines. We'll click all of them on. Why not? Torrey Pines, what did I say? Mexico is Vedanta. And then Houston is, what the hell is the name of that course in Houston? The municipal course at Memorial Park is the name of that. So we're just going to apply those course filters to this and see some of the names that we get. So past, we're going to see, you have someone like Anders Albertson, who only has the 8 rounds. We're going to click over to average scoring and see who the best player is. It's Scheffler, by far, then Brian Campbell, only 6 rounds, and one of those was a win in Mexico. Potgieter, Celinda, Valimaki, Toasty, Jaeger, Gerard, Knapp. Knapp was inside the top 10 here last year, but I think he played in the final group with Coles and Pendrith, or maybe he was in the group ahead, Pendrith was in the group behind. I just remember Coles chunking that chip on the very last hole, and that's why he ended up losing. Bramlett, Dunlap, Joel Damon, and Joel Damon did just, bogey to lose at CARGURUS the last time that he played in a solo event. Nikolai Højgaard, Sung J M, Keith Mitchell, there's Hayden Springer again, Danny Walker, Harry Hall, Kevin Yu, there's Taylor Moore, Putnam, Rogers. Oh, Blades Brown is in the field. I saw he shot like a 61 in one of the rounds on Corn Ferry, although I think the cut was -9 in that Corn Ferry event this week, which is just insane to think about. Cade Cummings, Siwoo, Pendrith, Ben Griffin, Mullenix. Mullenix has been playing some pretty decent golf. So these are some of the names that you can gravitate towards. Sam Burns just hasn't been good at all. Maybe this is a spot where he can get some of his mojo back, but because he was top 15 at the Heritage, that was by far his best result since the opening non-cut event at Kapalua. Been like decent results, but the approach play has just been so abysmal. It's hard to win when it's hard to win when you lose 10 strokes on approach. It's kind of insane that he made the cut that week, and that was a cut in an elevated event at Bay Hill. But other than that, just a lot of red. And even the putting has been carrying him, honestly. The one time it didn't was at the Masters, but I guess it didn't make that big of a difference. He came 46, only the top 50 in ties made the cut. It wasn't a great week for Sam Burns, so he's a player that you can see getting it all back together at one time, especially at an easier course. I'm not going to be there because his odds are still going to be 25 to 1, 30 to 1. I don't like the sounds of that at all. And we can see even on these comp courses that I'm talking about, he still hasn't played all that well. So these would be sort of the names I'd be gravitating towards down the board. If I'm going to say no to Scheffler, probably no to Brian Campbell as well. It seemed like a pretty lucky week for him. Then you got how did Potgieter do in Houston? Missed the cut in Houston, although it was pretty good at Valero. I don't know if I'm going to get there with him. He seems to be popular enough where he gets an artificial bump in the odds and DraftKings pricing at this point that it's probably going to be Salinda, Valimaki, Toasty, maybe go back to Jaeger, Jake Knapp. Those would be the sorts of players that I want to be targeting this week. Maybe even Nikolai Højgaard when I really think about it. Okay, let's guess the odds for TPC Craig Ranch. With Scotty, I got him coming in at 3 to 1. He's going to be the overwhelming favorite in this tournament. It's going to be up to you whether you want to bet losers who might lose to Scotty or just put all your money on Scotty this week. I'm obviously not going to bet him at 3 to 1, so I'm just going to have a bunch of losers. Good week for each way bets, if that's the way that you want to go. After that, I think there's a collection of 4 guys and where they end up coming out. It's going to be Spieth and Ben An, Taylor Pendrith, and Sung Jae. I think that Sung Jae and Spieth are both going to be 16 to 1. Pendrith will be 18 to 1, and Ben An will be 20 to 1. After that, it's probably Kim coming in at 25 to 1. Jaeger and both of the Højgaards, Rasmus and Nikolai, at 30 to 1. You might get Keith Mitchell sneaking in there, and then you'll have a few outliers who just move up that list, be it a Toasty or Valimaki, Ryan Gerard, guys that are just in really good form right now that normally you'd probably want to bet like 150 to 1, but the field is so weak that you're going to put it there. Michael Kim might be 30 to 1 as well, but things have cooled off on him recently that you might be able to catch him at a 40, 45, depending on what the initial odds and interest in him are this week. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. I'll be back with Jeff on Monday. I think me, Jeff, and Cuss are doing NFL recap on Tuesday. We got Wednesday with Tambo, Thursday with Cam and Raza for the Kentucky Derby. So it's going to be a very fun week. Use code Mayo at Underdog right now to get yourself in to that. Well, it's not even a giveaway. If you use code Mayo, you get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000 and a free pick in the Pick'em game. This is a big week too, again, for the best ball drafts. This was my strategy going in, was to load up on TPC Craig Ranch guys that were playing in some of the other tournaments. So we'll see how that ends up working out for me, to see how many of my 100 teams I can get through. Obviously, we still have next week for the elevated event, but this is where all the damage is really going to be done to separate you from a lot of the other teams, because so many teams are not going to have 6 or even 5 players in the tournament this time around. I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!